Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers! Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And Gully PG Willikers. A wild Bob Odenkirk appears! Yeah, that's right, Dragon. Shedding his Better Call Saul persona, Bob Odenkirk is emerged in a John Wick-style action flick, and we're here to cover it. It's our thoughts on Nobody. Dragon, I don't really want to label this as a spoiler cast because I feel like with this movie, it's like, you kind of get what you pay for. You kind of get like, spoiler alert, Bob Odenkirk turns from a mild-mannered, kind of domesticated husband into an ass-kicking, military guy. I mean, that's what the trailer kind of represents. That's what the movie kind of gives us. And Dragon, jumping right into my thesis right here, I like this one quite a bit. I respect it. I thought Bob Odenkirk was good. I thought Christopher Lloyd was great. It's nice to see Christopher Lloyd still kicking some major ass. Dragon, I don't think this one's gonna stick with me too much. I will admit. As far as the character transformation stuff, I thought it was honestly just kind of okay. It didn't really leave that much of a mark on me. Unlike John Wick, it really doesn't have a hook to it. Like, it really doesn't have the whole, spoiler alert, I guess. I kept waiting for his family to get killed off or for something really bad to happen to his family. And that just, there are lines that do get crossed. But Dragon, I don't know. I guess if anything, this movie just kind of lacked a certain spark to it. But for me, it was still nice to see Odenkirk, just giving it his all. And like I said, the Christopher Lloyd of it all was quite good. So I don't have too strong of an opinion about this one, Dragon, but I'd probably give it a solid, like probably thumbs up, 7.5 out of 10.
All right. Yeah, I was very hyped to see this going
I know
into
you
it.
were.
Very hyped, of course. Odenkirk meets John Wick. What's not to get excited about? I loved the trailer for this. I was quite obsessed with it. I kept watching like a madman because it was so well put together. So yeah, I'm just we're gonna forgo like kind of background. I'm just gonna lump it into kind of my anticipation going into this.
Sure.
So you have the director on this was the guy who did Hardcore Henry. You ever see that?
No, I haven't. That's the first person one, right?
Yes, exactly. That was the first person, essentially the first person shooter perspective kind of film.
Right.
Yeah. So the director Ilya, it's the Russian guy, Ilya Nashuler, if I'm saying that right. The point is Ilya directed that, and they had one of the John Wick writers on this, I believe, Derek Kolstad or Kolstad. He wrote this. So I remember just like hearing just little bits and pieces. Once this was in the works, like Odenkirk, he trained for 2 years in between seasons of Better Call Saul for this, and my God, does it show? Because Tiki Odenkirk did all of his own stunts for this movie. And you can see it. That's how you can tell. You don't have a stunt without his face in this movie.
Sure.
Yeah, it's I gotta tell you. So I think you had something a little similar, only you had more of the grand return before seeing Nobody. But yeah, it was kind of an empty return to the theaters. Not again. I saw Tenet last year, but this was like the first like kind of open road to repair theaters. Are
Literally
kind of
no one in the theater, Dragon. Not a soul.
One could say nobody.
Yeah, exactly. I saw Kong vs. Godzilla, and I will admit, like, with social distancing in place, it was probably about as close to a full house as it could get. So, I've kind of had it both ways.
Yeah, for me, it was just it was a group of friends, and basically, I assume I was either that or just spaced out. It could have been two people. Just every time you look at the seats, it's blocked up for 2 extra seats. So, the point being, I had maybe 2 other groups aside from my group, and that's basically as much as it was for Nobody. So while kind of an empty return to theaters in kind of a major way, It was a great time. I love the mundanity applied to the action genre in kind of the post John Wick world, where we're kind of reconfiguring how we do the action movie, and it's less kind of gun. We've kind of gone from just a lot of explosions and everything to a little bit of gun fu to a little bit of let's see what happened. Let's model the action movies after that Daredevil hallway fight. Let's show some impressive action, confined spaces, and let's just show it's going to take the wind out of a guy after an actual fight.
That the movie definitely does showcase the realism of the fight sequences quite well. Dragon, I guess with me, can I just go ahead and play the whole I'm not an action movie guy card right now? Because
even so, Tiki,
I appreciate Odenkirk's stunt work, Dragon. I really do. I appreciate everything he put into it. This just isn't my genre. I feel like beyond Odenkirk kicking ass, I just didn't feel like there was a ton there. But by all means, I just want to kind of lay out the film is subjective and yada yada yada. I'm not even into John Wick, so that tells you how far I'm into the actual genre itself, and I'm not even into the flagship franchise of the decade, so anyways.
Well, that's the thing. I liked that the plot was direct on this. I thought the action was brilliantly directed. Definitely in certain standout scenes. I just like the action overall, and I like that it's unlike what you usually see. And I think the style overall. Honestly, what I'm in love with the movie. The reason I won't be really kind of paving over it after seeing it, I'm still thinking about it. Is that I felt that the style is wonderful. This is my kind of action movie. This is it's action with some character. It's not just the forgettable kind of shoot 'em up sort of stuff. It's you're investing in the one guy getting through it all, but he's not John McClane. Or more so, he's kind of in that John McClane. He's the guy you care about kind of getting hurt and getting glass in his feet and everything.
Kind of John McClane 1.0 in a way, in a weird kind of way.
Sure.
Where an interesting subversion of this, just to kind of lead into the conversation here, is that I did appreciate is the fact that more or less Dragon, and I like that they keep it a little bit ambiguous, but the family tends to know what he does and not really have a problem with it.
Pretty much, yeah. We're shielding the girl from all the bodies, but still, it's it's pretty much in the know. It's not exactly.
Obviously, there's we've got Wonder Woman's mother in the mix. Am I right?
Yes, Connie Nielsen. Yeah.
Yes. So she was fun to see, and Dragon. I like the fact that it's kind of this guy. It's he does kind of have that duality to him. And obviously Odenkirk is probably the most compelling thing about the film. That's not a big surprise, but he much this guy is kind of if Jimmy McGill kind of had a military background, because he very much does have that same sort of if Jimmy McGill was a family man. I hate to bring up the Jimmy McGill, but he does kind of have that same sort of quality of sort of he's a good guy who's kind of trying to keep the more negative side of himself at bay, until he just can't contain it anymore. Then much like Jimmy McGill, Dragon, once he can't contain it, that other side of himself just bursts out in kind of a cataclysmic sort of way.
Right. Well, I guess maybe piggybacking off of that. So, this film, it opens, the setup for the film I thought was really great, where we start off with kind of the mundane, almost like a Better Call Saul montage to an extent. We have this great mundane edit of a montage of Hutch Mansell's week, what his week kind of looks like, kind of week to week, where it's a sort of a, you have that. I just love the false sense of security of the suburban dad we think, where there's a lot more interesting layers to this guy. If anyone was going in without being obsessed with the trailer like I was, they would just go into this
right.
Oh wow, it's just the I'm sorry, using the Louis Prima song in that trailer, and just it was a genius move. I'm still obsessed. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, so I love that we're loading to that false sense of security, and we highlight just the overcorrection and kind of Hutch's kind of issues that are bubbling under the surface. You identify with this guy who's essentially ready to break over his he's an auditor, again, auditor in two senses of the word, but he's an auditor for this metal fabrication company, which had the logo. I tried pausing. I couldn't make out what the company's name is, but WM, which of course brings to mind Wexler McGill.
Right. Oh, God.
Every time I see it, I'm thinking Wexler McGill. But yeah, so I just love like the lived-in quality. Like, this guy's working for his father-in-law, and along with his brother-in-law, who's kind of a prick.
Uh-huh.
And like he's always missing the trash on Tuesday or whatnot. And he's always he's like a pillow divider between he and his wife. And he goes for a run every morning. So again, I just love the it's the boring life of Hutch here. And then of course the break-in happens. So how do you feel about the break-in scene at the top?
I honestly thought it was probably one of the more compelling scenes in the movie, honestly, just in terms of like it is a good inciting incident. It's a good kind of thing to be like, all right, like if anything, you kind of get the feeling that Hutch almost kind of like wanted it to happen because now he has an excuse to like really go after someone, even if it wasn't like that big of a deal in retrospect. No one got hurt. They only took a couple things. Like I said, I do like the simple setup that this movie has, Dragon. It does work on that level.
Well, something really interesting about that setup, Tiki, is that the impetus for the film was this actually happened to Bob Odenkirk.
Oh, wow.
Odenkirk, there a couple times his house had been robbed. He had like once there was like kind of like a guy who was like a junkie or something kind of went into his house, and while his family was there, they essentially robbed the place. And yes, basically it was like that's where Odenkirk kind of got the light bulb. Just kind of left him frustrated and kind of bubbling under the surface. And he wondered like, what if you channeled that into kind of something?
So wow, yeah, he's really channeling some real world stuff in the performance then.
Yes, of course. In that scene, he chooses to minimize the damage because later on, I love this reveal that he, being so calm, cool, and collected, has done this millions times before. We're going to learn. He saw the inside of the barrel of the gun. He knew it was empty, so he knew like he didn't really need to. Tiki. He was itching to take the robbers out with the golf club, but then his son got involved. So then there was some tension, and then when the gun was involved and everything, like. When the minute he saw the gun wasn't loaded, there wasn't the protective instinct to kill these guys and save his family, which he would have done. But I just love it. It's like not a mystery, but it's like it's kind of a hanging chad that we answer in the movie. Yeah, why didn't he take him out? And it's great.
You know what it kind of reminded me of, Dragon? It kind of almost reminded me of a more extreme kind of like downhill version of a more extreme John Wick version of Downhill, the Will Ferrell movie, where it's like, okay, instead of the avalanche setup, it's kind of like, all right, like this guy, like sort of like, he takes an approach that you wouldn't expect, but unlike Will Ferrell, who's really just kind of being like an idiot in the moment, not even necessarily a coward, just an idiot, but so I do like that. I do like that as kind of just like a very straightforward, inciting incident. Dragon, I don't know. I guess it's like when we go to the mob stuff, it's well done action. It's well done action for sure, absolutely. But I almost kind of wish they would have kept the story just a little bit more grounded.
Well, before we broach the mob of it all, before we broach the Russians, I want to talk about is I love that
Russians.
Why did it have to be Russians? I want to talk about the kitty cat bracelet.
Oh yeah, sure.
So again, I love that you're right. So again, they were only out $20 a watch, and potentially the kitty cat bracelets. I love this kitty cat bracelet. I knew
it was
gonna be like
fucking deal, man.
I knew that it was gonna be the money line of the movie. Where's the GD kitty cat bracelet? That's great.
That's what I get for only watching the trailer the one time, Dragon. I kind of like when that line came up, I was like, oh yeah, that line was in the trailer, but I wasn't like going into the movie like when the kitty cat bracelet thing came up, I wasn't like, oh, here it comes.
No, but here's the thing: I just love it. I always thought it was gonna be like an offhanded thing while he was taking care of business, but no, it was like
no, it's like it literally is kind of like the main thing that sets off the plot.
It's the last straw. It's like that's like the initial driving motive and the last straw for him. Again, I love this is what I'm saying, Dave. This is the subtlety I really appreciate in the movie. Is I love that. We had like a little bonding scene with him and his daughters to reaffirm what's going to come later. It's like, again, it's one of those action movies that we use every part of the Buffalo to an extent.
Sure.
It's like we built the bond.
It's got a lean, mean runtime to it too. It's like I believe without credits, it's probably like 85 minutes or something.
Probably like an hour 45, maybe hour 40 at most.
No, the movie's 92 minutes with credits.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, so I'm saying like without credits, it's probably like 85, I would say. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all.
I know, of course. I mean, look at Deadpool. Deadpool very also lean runtime. Had the credits not been there, it would have been an hour and 40 minutes.
Right.
Anyway, so Kitty Cat Bracelet. As I'm saying, we have a little bit of Albuquerque verse complexity here and there, which I do really appreciate. For example, once he goes after the robbers, we have this beautiful moment where we reveal the robbers are just desperate parents trying to support their sick baby, which and of course then it's just Hutch is just he's punching the wall, which again because he knows oh, I understand what they're going through, darn it, because he's kind of in the wrong. He got his wife. I mean, again, obviously they stole from, but again, it was he can't really fully unleash on them because it's not the right thing to do. And he's just mad at himself that he's kind of jeopardized the impossible dream, if you will, of kind of having the family and putting the past behind him. And a little bit of action, he has an excuse to go off, and it's not even a good excuse. He's just really mad at himself. Of course, we've seen Odenkirk play this sort of scene all sorts of times. In Better Call Saul, he plays the whole that gives the speech to Miss Esposito, and he's railing in his car, that sort of thing. Plays it's all there, it's all great. And the other thing just in getting to the Kitty Cat Bracelet, basically. As things kind of travel along here, I love the build-up and the reputation of Hutch. That's one of my favorite things in the episode I was enjoying so much, is we build up to the violence so well. Well, it comes out a little bit in that Kitty Cat Bracelet scene, but we just getting to that point, it's using the FBI badge and the wad of cash, and we use that Albuquerque-verse theory of the tough guy, which is one of my favorite things. I love that a tough guy in the Albuquerque-verse doesn't need a physical display of strength. You need the attitude and the psychological aspect of it, where he pulls out this wad of cash. There are three types of people who flash cheese: those who don't know any better, those who want to intimidate, or people like me who wish someone would try and take it from them. That's a tough guy right there.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, of course, everyone's fleeing and locking doors and everything. They're panicking and just get a little inkling of the guy. It's great.
Yep.
All right, so let's talk some Russians. Then we got to talk the bus scene, but
Well, what's the difference? The first time that we see the Russians is the bus scene, as far as I can remember.
Well, I meant the mobs more later, Tiki, but sure, fine. The Russians, yes, there are Russians on the bus. Yes, let's talk about the bus.
All right,
namely, there's one Russian on the bus, but go on.
Yeah, so this was a hell of a scene. I thought that it was a pretty well done kind of Act 1 generally I thought was probably the strongest act in the movie, just because of how it builds up the character, how it kind of reaches a logical boiling point. I thought the bus action was really well handled. It was very, it was shot in an impressively confined kind of way. It was claustrophobic in a good way. Like I said, Dragon, it's only after we get kind of the cliche, okay, the mob's gonna go after him now as revenge. I don't dislike that stuff, Dragon. It's just that it feels like we almost kind of put the character stuff not necessarily on the back burner, but definitely in the background compared to where it was in Act 1. At least that's the vibe I got on it. Keep in mind, I'm just walking out of the theater for the first time, about an hour ago. So I don't know. I just felt like as the movie progressed, I was getting less about the actual character building stuff. Although I will admit, one thing that we do have to talk about is Christopher Lloyd. That's probably where the character building stuff most comes into play in the second half, I guess.
Well, the bus scene itself, of course, most anticipated scene for me going into the movie. Didn't disappoint at all. And I love, even the change in music didn't disappoint me at all. I just love that we use this. We use it in a completely brilliant way. We use Gotta Be Me. I gotta be me.
Yeah, that was a great choice.
And the choice to basically use all of the music in the build-up, as in, he's just so happy, he's had such a setback with that kitty cat bracelet, but now he's on top of the world knowing one, he's going to be able to air out his frustrations and also help the young lady on the bus, make sure she gets home all right, which is also really noble. So, but he's clearing out the, he's walking there and he's getting ready to strike the money shot. But I love the whole sequence is silent and just violent as all get out, and that's what I love. We set the tone. I love him
just kind of very seriously, like talking to the bus driver, like okay, you better step out, ma'am.
This is great, but yeah, I just love we hit the tone so perfectly in that this scene is so violent and so wonderfully, shot and so, kind of so grounded. We're not glorifying the violence. We're making it tense and engrossing by showing how kind of brutal it is. And of course, Bob Odenkirk, one of his favorite things in the movie is the fact that when we do the cliche action scene, and you'd think our guy gets punched in the face before it even starts. He gets hit in the face, like, and Hutch takes some lumps. And this is the big subversion from the trailer. We left that part out, and that was genius. Just to show, like, oh god, our guy might, he's been out of the game. He's a little out of practice. He might not win this fight. We see him lose a couple of fights. He gets put in the trunk in the movie. This is not it's not what happens to John Wick at all. So it's just, again, as you mentioned, the confined space. He's using making a set of brass knuckles from like a seat belt. You like strangle a guy with the cord, and impressively, he does not kill anyone in this fight. He gives a guy a tracheotomy, but doesn't kill anyone in this fight. Just seriously, just some stunning action for sure. And again, I very engrossing. Just a lot of It's not just the standard action fare. It was like a little extra put in there. Again, Odenkirk put in the work, and it shows.
All right.
Yeah. But yeah, so the mobster aspect of it, though. So yes, the whole the Obshak kind of plot, and Yulian. So Yulian is basically our crazy Russian who's also, in parallel to Hutch, he is also kind of tired of his work and the violence. He's getting a little tired of it. He doesn't want to guard the stupid Russian nest egg. It's like Obshak, effing Obshak. I don't care about it. He just wants to do karaoke. That's all he wants: karaoke and be a party animal.
I appreciated the karaoke thing in concept, but in execution, I thought those moments kind of dragged a little bit too long over the film. Trimmed them down a little bit. I don't know.
I thought it was nice when he's like, when he's doing the karaoke as they're destroying the as Hutch is lighting the Obshak on fire. I thought that was kind of funny.
No, I mean that's fine. I just think that they do like whole extended sequences of the karaoke, or it kind of feels like it's like throughout the film almost.
I know it's definitely like two scenes. I don't think. Well, okay, maybe the introduction's a little drawn out. I'll give you that.
I guess maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, here's the interesting thing. So,
I guess I'm a piece of shit for thinking this movie is anything less than great, right?
Well, no.
All right, whatever.
Anyway, so, I'm convinced. When I was watching the movie, something occurred to me. I think they changed. I don't know how radically. I think they changed and deleted like kind of a plot line, and basically replaced it with just the Russian stuff.
Yeah, what do you think the plot line is?
Well, here's the thing. In the trailer, so you remember the barber? Remember Colin Salmon? We go to the barber shop, and basically the guy kind of gives him like the lowdown, like who that guy's brother was, which basically is the whole Obshak Yulian thing.
Sure.
Well, that guy in the trailer, he says, your creditor, I assume that means employer, your creditor is aware of your resurrection. And we have this thing where he's looking at these stamps, which I assume ties into that, basically more John Wick fare. And that is not in the movie at all. And I wonder if, that's the thing, the trailer led the impression of there was no Russian mob thing, that guy was said creditor and all that stuff, and that is, again, it's not in the movie at all. So I wonder if they kind of like...
maybe the karaoke stuff was maybe just kind of like reshoots just to give the guy something to do and some sort of character.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know how radical... I mean, here's the thing. What if the bus scene was just... I always just went into that trailer assuming that was going to be an isolated incident, then the creditor was the Russian thing. I don't know if maybe they got the idea to blend the stories together or what. So that's the thing that's interesting. I really want to get this thing on.
I don't necessarily think the story gets messy, because it doesn't. If anything, I think it gets too straightforward.
See, that's
Dragon, I'm sorry for having kind of a bitchy attitude. I'm just like, I didn't want to be underwhelmed by this, Dragon. I wouldn't say I'm underwhelmed. Underwhelmed isn't the right word, but it's just I don't know. I want to be on the same level as you are with it, and I'm kind of honestly I'm frustrated that I'm not, but I'm not frustrated at you. I'm just like honestly, Dragon. At this point, I'm kind of just frustrated with my with the wall blocking me from really getting into action movies like this, because there is a wall. There's a wall. So I don't know, man. I genuinely feel bad for being slightly apathetic towards this. So I apologize. Like there is a lot of good stuff to mine there. I wish I could. I wish I could. Really see the whole picture. Maybe maybe if I watched it again on streaming or something. I don't know. Like
I'm very eager. Speaking of the streaming thing, I think this one would have been more welcome in like kind of a home streaming thing. Not trying to knock the theaters.
Isn't it kind of stupid that Kong versus Godzilla was streaming and this wasn't?
Yeah, it's kind of weird how that turns out. Bear in mind, I like that I could watch Kong Skull Island from the comfort of home, but again, it's not the same as the theater I recognize. Of course, it's
No, it's not. Definitely not. I felt that the whole time I was in theaters watching Kong Skull Island.
Oh yeah,
I was just like, oh, good to be back.
Because I gotta tell you, I'm very eager to rewatch this thing. Because again, just yeah, it was just quite fun. But that's what I'm saying. So it's. I don't mind. I think it was a good call to streamline it, but I'm just really curious of how it would have been had they maybe kept that plot line intact, which I'm hoping is like a deleted scene or something that would give an idea of what that would have looked like on the home video release, whatever it may be. I don't know. I'm interested like on a commentary so to find out if there was an original different plot there, because I don't know. That's kind of a thought that occurred to me. It's like, yeah, wait a minute, he's not looking at the stamps when he's getting out all those gold bars. Where are the stamps?
yeah.
Anyway, so let's talk Christopher Lloyd. Let's talk about basically let's talk about kind of the Mansell family. So we have David, Christopher Lloyd, and we have with Harry, the half brother.
Yeah, I think both these characters are great and definitely kind of like the reason why I was remained invested throughout the movie, in spite of, like I said, I do think the first act does the best in terms of pacing and character build up, but with Christopher Lloyd, Dragon, I love the fact that we get a character who's like, just barely out of the realm of Alzheimer's. It's like he's almost like in that pre-Alzheimer's realm. But by the same time, he kicks ass. It's like it's very much just kind of like a it's a great. I feel like if this is like don't get me wrong, I'll take Christopher Lloyd for as long as we can get him, Dragon. But this is like one of the last things we ever see Christopher Lloyd in. I think this would be an appropriate one to go out on because
Christopher Lloyd never done an action movie.
Yeah, and I really do feel like he kind of makes his mark in the genre there. And I would count Piranha 3D as an action movie more than a horror movie, but really it's more of a comedy. But I don't know.
That's the thing. Like even if you look at like something like Suburban Commando, like what does he really do? I mean,
True.
But that's the thing. So I'm going
Baby
into this.
Geniuses action movie of the decade.
Oy.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, so here's the thing. So I never would have guessed Christopher Lloyd would have been given this much action to do in the movie, because I was expecting sort of like the indie movie fare. We're like, hey, we cast a big name, we're gonna put him in there as like working in. Like, oh, we'll give him maybe like a nice conversation
maybe
scene.
like a scene or two just to kind of establish the stakes.
Exactly, and that's yet another scene they kind of altered, because I guess they had all this again. There's also a potential thing where there was just a misdirect, where, again, there's some misdirects in that marketing, too, which, again, not major, but just, like, a little bit to keep you surprised from the movie, which is really clever. You think, again, giving you the idea, Chris will just be, oh, he's having a little scene with Dad, like, oh, you don't look so good. Like, that scene's not there, because, of course, he knows why it wouldn't look so good, because he's in the know.
Yeah,
and, he's going to be toting shotguns and everything. It's going to be awesome. Just and again, he's the unsuspecting old timer. Again, the movie
if anything, he is like even more hardcore than Odenkirk is in the movie,
which is awesome. You see, like those like these is the man lives for the action. Again, the bit with the is hilarious, where he's killing guys with shotguns, but the nursing home just doesn't care to look into it. It's great. So another thing too, I love. I'm really impressed where we have this half brother character. We have Harry. And I love that all we really have is we hear this voice on a radio. We have no idea what the relationship really is, but you see the photograph of Christopher Lloyd and these two kids. One white, one black, and I just love the photo conveys everything you need to know. It's all right there, really. And then he comes back, and it's like, I don't know. I just love that you didn't really. It's like just one little glimpse, and we kind of built up a relationship with this radio guy, kind of warning him, and then we add like a little personal element. Once he comes in, we kind of piece it together. Oh, they're brothers. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty economic storytelling for sure.
Exactly. And then I love that. It's the Buffalo thing, man. I dig it. All right. Yeah, you already mentioned Connie Nielsen being kind of a Kim Wexler effect, if you will, for to pull yet another Better Call Saul.
Very much more Kim Wexler than Skylar White, for sure.
I love they have Odenkirk has such a great scene with her, a real conversation about love and the loss of intimacy in a marriage. You never hear marriage put like that, really, when you think about it. It's just the whole thing of like, yes, we've lost a step. I still love you, but we've lost the step. It's just a really great kind of acknowledgement. It's not like a pointed, petty argument. It's just like it's a man who's been through heck and just kind of, again, it's almost like a Watchmen effect. It's almost like Dan Dreiberg. Dan Dreiberg in Watchmen, he gets the confidence once he kind of gets back into the old life. So he's kind of like just kind of putting it out there, like in a sense here. But, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's see. So, of course, we had some fun action bits along the way. Like, again, he's burning down all the money, and he escapes from a trunk and uses a fire extinguisher, which me, I'm a sucker for using the fire extinguisher. Let's see. And, again, I love that we burned down the basement and the bodies and everything using an incendiary record of It's a Wonderful World.
Yeah, that was fun.
Now, one of my favorite things, kind of exposition-wise, we did in this film is I love that we, have the flashback and the backstory to dead Russians. Like every time Hutch is he's kind of talking to these dying Russians, he's kind of giving essentially walking through his backstory and then telling us, the audience. I thought that was really kind of fun and clever. He let a bad guy live. The guy actually changed his ways, and he just got so effing jealous. He wanted to, like, why the F does that guy get to have the happy life? I want that happy life, man. I want, he had the desire to change. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay, again, when we have kind of our Home Alone metal factory kind of booby trap sequence, which again is kind of crazy and a lot of fun. How did you feel about the plexiglass shield bit at the very end, like how we take out the Russian guy?
Well, I do think it was a good, kind of a good, oh God, I'm sorry. What's the terminology? Chekhov's gun.
Yes.
It's like we knew that device was going to get used at some point, Dragon.
Chekhov's Claymore.
Yes. I don't know. I thought it was kind of cheap to insinuate that he was going to make some sort of big self-sacrifice with it in any way. But but I thought it was a kind of like a satisfying Chekhov's gun payoff at the very least. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, here's the thing. So I think the Claymore is set up so perfectly where we have this gutsy move where Hutch is eating a steak as he's finishing up the Skill Karaoke number, and he has the Claymore under a napkin for like almost like a Joker Dark Knight kind of moment of like, again, if you move, I'm going to blow us all up. And there's a lot
of Joker Dark Knight between that and then the burning the piles of money.
Yep, and stealing the painting too. Steals the painting.
Right.
But yeah, it's this is like I feel the payoff of the Claymore with the plexiglass and the self-sacrifice thing. It's a buy, but it's an earned buy because everything else has been so grounded up. Even the booby traps, everything up to that Claymore. It's hard to buy if he would survive that, but again, everything else I can buy. So I'll give it a pass. It's a we don't care moment. Absolutely earned.
Totally.
Yeah. All right. So of course things. And here's the thing. I'm curious about if this movie should have ended earlier than it did, because I like the setup. We have the full circle ending where, we kind of open the movie with kind of the big, like, who the F are you? And, of course, cut to nobody. And we reveal he's got the painting. He found a little cat to give to his daughter. Really adorable. Also, again, he found the kitty cat bracelet. It was in the basement the whole time, which is great.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, it's sort of this... it could have ended there. I felt like when the government eventually calls, like without hesitation, like, he's completely confident going into that interrogation room. Say, of course, like they want to cover me up. I'm the big X asset. They don't want me getting out in the world. Of course, they're gonna bail me out of this. I wonder if it should have ended there instead of kind of the franchisee bait sort of dot dot dot. Hey, he might be back in action.
Yeah, I don't think it needed the franchise bait. I feel like the movie kind of like stands for itself, and I feel like they do enough franchise building, if you will, within the course of the movie to where, like I think a sequel would make sense if the movie does well enough.
Yeah, I mean, I would see more of this. I'd be a little wary that it might lose kind of the impact of the first one as it goes
Sure,
forward.
of course.
But I mean, I'd absolutely give it a shot for the Odenkirk of it all. I mean, why not? You know. Plus, his father and his brother on like a road trip with gobs of guns. You know.
Well, I did like the road trip with the gobs of guns, Dragon. That was a fun little tease.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's also just a shout out there. As I forget if I mentioned there, Michael Ironside plays father-in-law.
Yeah.
Right. I gotta tell you, Michael Ironside. Of course, I don't know if I've told you Michael Ironside does the voice of Darkseid, right?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, right. We did the Legends of the Dark Knight thing. It's when he.
Uh-huh.
All right, okay. Yeah, but I gotta tell you, it's been a while since I've seen Ironside. He's put on a little weight.
Yeah.
It's kind of you realize like I love that we got these icons in the movie and we kind of played off of it well. Like, we had kind of Ironside on a funny scene where usually he's the really dour guy. The funny scene was shaking the hand for the gold, and Christopher Lloyd just this he's Rambo essentially. It's kind of just kind of crazy and crazy how that works out.
All right.
All right.
So yeah, thanks for watching, folks. This is a little bit just kind of a. Just a thing to get out there, just, since Better Call Saul is filming and everything, we thought we'd cover the Odenkirk of it all, just to have it on record. Any final thoughts, Dragon?
Yeah, love the movie. I look forward to a rewatch. Odenkirk put the work in, absolutely, and assembled the right people to get it done. I'd be pleased with this just being a one-shot, but a lot of people are talking John Wick crossover or spin-offs or things of the like. I mean, I'd give it a shot. Don't necessarily think we need it, but I think the big takeaway from all of this, Tiki, bottom line, is that Bob Odenkirk is still choosing quality projects. And he's putting in the work. He's making them sing, and I feel like so far so good. And again, I'm absolutely sold on whatever Bob Odenkirk does next. And again, I wonder if after Better Call Saul, he might be inclined to do more action stuff. It'd be interesting to see. I don't know.
All right. Well, you know what I have to say to your final thoughts, Dragon?
What?
Take notes, Cranston!
No.
This is what your career needs to look like, buddy. Come on now. Come on. Take better.